And let's jump in. 301 solved. I feel like that number needs to, like there needs to be more going on with that number, but maybe not. All right, so when last we left our intrepid hero, I'm not actually sure if there is an intrepid hero here. I'm not sure if there is an eye associated with any of the things that are going on here. But we just finished the forest area. And we're jumping into the castle. I guess also there is room for me to kind of go back and silver some stuff or gold some stuff. Or just another thing that shouldn't be believed. Absolutely. I'm very confident that this subscription is an April Fool's joke. Thank you so much for the continued support, Morgan Smith. Welcome back to the adventuring party. Happy to have you here, my friend. Is there stuff down here? I feel like there's gonna be stuff down like in weird places all over here. I see stairs going down. I'm like, can I follow the stairs? A little hard with this very like fixed angle, semi-omniscient view. Almost a whole year. Yeah, so close, so close. Ooh, there's like a little cave thing over here. No, that's just rock. Never mind. And then after the castle, there is whatever this area is. There's like more area. Still more area in this game. Although this might be like the last major section. Ooh. We might be, the breadth first search might actually be going a little bit deeper. Although it'll be a bit. Like, I'm not getting through the castle today. I actually have to end stream early today, which is a little unfortunate. Because it is holiday. It's Passover, so I'm gonna go be doing dinner with my family later on. But for now... Alright, well... I guess let's just start and take a look at the new mechanics in the castle area. What do they got for me? Shape bank, bricky. There cannot be a point where 4 borders meet. Okay. So that means this can't be 1 and 1, right? It has to be 2 to make sure that this isn't a 4 corner. But like this could be 2, and this could be 2, and this could be 2, and then, oh no, this can't be. I see. Because this is here, this can't end here, right? This is illegal. So this has to be a 2 like this. And then same deal here, this has to be a 2 like this, which means 1 here, and this has to be a 2 like this across this border. Okay, I see. Bricky. Watchtower. Counts how many regions are touching the clue. Oh, I recognize this. This is in some of the Sudokus. All right, well, 1 is fairly clear, right? All of this has to be 1 region, and this has to be 1 region, and this has to be 1 region, and this is touching a 2nd region. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty intrigued by Watchtower. That sounds like it'll be fun. Inequality. The tip points towards the smaller region. Oh, so this has to be part of a 5 because 6, 5, 4. So that's a 5. This has to come out here, so this is a 4, and this is the rest of it. Yeah, all right. That's intriguing too. Oh, that's really neat. All right, let's do. I don't know which of these I like more. I like both of these. Both of these are cool. These are very cool mechanics. Bricky is a little like whatever. It's fine. It's a rule. Rules are rules. But these seem like really interesting rules. I like these rules. These are good rules. I want to know more about these rules. Let's go into Watchtowers first. We'll go into this area and see what they can show me here. All right. Well, 4 is pretty straightforward. 4, and then this is 2. So these 2. So this is 1. They're like these have to be separate here. So that has to be connecting there. And the other thing you can do with these is you can treat these as walls, right? Like, these have to be all separate walls. This has one wall, so this is done. This has to be exactly that. This is one, so this can't be any walls. This needs 3 walls, so it has to be like that. And then the walls fill the rest of it in. Yeah, alright, cool. This is a 3, so it needs the walls. This is, let's see, this 2 is already done, so this needs to be filled in. This 2 needs 2 walls? This 2 needs to make sure that stuff is set. Wait, this is 1, right? So this can only have 1 more, so that. And these 2 need to be separate. This is 1, 2, so this has to be 3 here. And fill in the rest of it. Yeah, okay. Neat. This is 2, oh, against the edge. So this has to be separate things. This has to be separate things. This has to be not separate things. These are already 2, so this has to be together here. Although this could be a thing here. These 2 have to be separate, so these have to connect. This can't come down here, because that would mess that up, so this has to go across. This needs a 3rd thing here. And this needs 1 and 2. Oh, and then, ooh. Does this need to be a wall? Because that screws this up. Where did we go wrong? I guess this can extend like that? No. Maybe this was wrong? And instead of this, it just does that? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I had the wrong one swooping in to take the other spots here. Now we've got it. Now I figured it out. Now it's all coming together. What's up, Storm Vision? How's it going? All right, well, 1, 1... 1. This is 2, so this has to be separate here. This is 2, so this has to be separate here. This is a thing on its own, so these have to connect. So this needs a different thing here. This needs a different thing here. These 2... So one of these 2 has to take this spot. And it can't be this blue one, so it has to be this one from there. This... Ooh, Vera, thank you for the raid. How you doing today? Welcome to the stream. What were you up to today? Were you also playing Glimmith? Are you also as obsessed as I am with the stained glass things? It's like the 2 and the 2. This has to be separate. This has to be separate. I love these. I think I'm interested in these clues. I kind of like the way they shape the board, but I definitely haven't grokked them. I haven't quite internalized exactly what it means for the rest of the board when a 2 is here or a 2 is here and how that's shaped. That's very interesting. De-rusting your 3D modeling skills. Oh, doing actual art. That's cool. The 1s are easy because it just extends whatever region is nearby to the rest of it. And then this is a 2, so that has to be separate. And then we have a 1 here, 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 all the way around to here. This is a 2 already. This is a 2 already. So this can just go up. Yeah, great. 2 here means that's separate. 2 here means that's separate. This 2 means this has to be part of the same region. And it's got to go around because this needs 3. Yeah, yeah. All right. My sympathies about your internet, Vera. Well, thank you for the raid anyway. And I hope you are having a good day. I hope you had a good stream. These regions are quite dense. there does seem to be a lot of puzzles in these regions. Oh, maybe there's just extra regions that I didn't notice. Like, that's got its own window. Does this have its own window? It does. Okay. So, like, this wing and this wing are separate. But maybe connect in. Or maybe I can get there from here, like across these bridges. Interesting. Very interesting. The way the click and drag navigation works is like really abrupt. It's kind of off-putting. Hey, upside down windows. Do we like those? How do we feel about upside down windows? Is Dracula's castle? Oh. Hidden puzzle? Crouching tiger hidden puzzle? Alright, fours. Fours are easy. And this cannot be part of the same region. But this is a 2, so this has to be all of this region here. This is 1, so everything here has to be part of one region. And I guess this has to separate here. These can't join, but this can potentially join this one if it needs to. Tough week. That is completely fair. That happens. Yo, what's up, Shouted Mage? How's it going? I guess I don't see anything stopping this from being a whole separate region here and grabbing this location. But if I go, okay. For this to be a 3, this stuff on the outside does need to be one region because of the way the walls work. And then this and this can be separate. I get it. Get it. Good call, Vera. The 3 with 4 built-in walls means 2 of them have to join. Okay, so 1, we can start with that. 2 means this has to be separate. This 2 now already has 2, so these have to join. This 3 needs all of this to be separate. Let's see. This 2 has its 2, so these need to join, which means this 3 needs all of these to be separate. This 2 has its 2, so these need to join. This 2 needs a separation. This 2 is already separate, these can join. This 3 now needs these to be separate. This 2 is separated. This 3 needs separation here. And this 2 is already separated. Cool. So, whoa! Holy, okay. Okay, so this 2 is already accounted for. All of this needs to be 1. This needs to be 1. Because the 4s and the 3s, like, this is a... 2 regions need to be here. And the 3 cannot be part of the 4s. So the 3 is already a separate region on its own. So all of the 4s here need to be together. Figured it out. Rate this puzzle 3 out of 4. Totally fair. Same thing here, right? These 3 need to be 1, and this 4 needs to be another, which means this 3 is complete on its own. So this 3 now has to be like this because of how 3s work. Alright, we figured out how 3s work. So now this can be a separate region from these. And this needs to also be a separate region here. Which means this 2 is already covered. This cannot take both of these. So this has to extend to there. And then this one belongs to one of these 2. If it belongs to the left one, it cuts this 4 off. So it needs to belong like that. Excuse me? Oh. This actually needs to take the whole thing, because this needs to grab that. Okay. And then that's 4, and then that's 4, and then... Let's see. There's no rule about these touching, but if they touch, it cuts these off. So I think it has to be that. Yeah. Okay, that was cool. That worked out pretty well. I like it. I like it. I do like the watchtowers, especially with other rules about how regions need to separate. That's kind of cool. Oh. Oh! Sneaky. 14. That's a big number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, 36. These 14s do not need to touch. In fact, they may not be able to touch. This is part of a 2. Intriguing. So either it goes left and then splits like that. Whoa! They did the quality of life update! They did exactly the thing I wanted! Oh, that's really cool! Yeah, this is new since the last time I played it last week. So you can hold control, and it'll show you the region of the area of the region that you're over. Sweet. I didn't have to ask for it. They just did it. That's nice of them. I guess enough other people asked for it. Interesting. Anyway, this 2 can do this. Or it can do this and do the same thing. Or it can do this and split like that. And I'm not actually sure how to determine where this starts. This 3 is interesting because of what it can't do, right? It can't go through here and then down, because that messes this up. It can't go down here, because that messes that up. It can't go through here and then down, or here and then down. So it has to go across, right? Which means it needs these 2 spots together. And then it either goes right or left, but this it guaranteed needs. Which means this has to do this. That I'll have to be separate from this region. And then I have a lot of options. Still a lot of options. All right, what about this 4? This 4 can't take up any more than... I need to concept it as numbers. This 4 can't take up any more than 2 spots of any given watchtower. Of any given 3 watchtower, right? So if it goes down, now it can't go right. At all. It has to go up. And then again, because this is a 3 watchtower, up. Or up. It could also go across. Same deal. But if it goes across, now it can't go down or, yeah, any of those. Can't go here. Yeah, so this is either 4 like this exactly, or these 3 and up or down. Interesting. And then there's the 14s. Which work in an interesting way. They can only turn corners at 2s, right? Because of the way that things have to have different regions. Like, if I do that, that's legal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. And then it can't take, so it can take that, and it can take that, and that's 14 exactly? Yeah, that's definitely it. Yep. I suppose we can start with the 14 then. So this 4 has to be exactly this. There's no ability for it to do anything else. That's there. That needs to be separated. That's there. That needs to be separated. Ah, but this can go here. And then this needs to be separated. And then this needs to be separated. Right? So this needs to be two separate things. This needs to be two separate things. Now that this is here, this can be the 2. And then this can extend here. That can extend to there? No. That has to go there. Maybe that goes that way? Yeah. Alright. Alright. It turns out the 14 was more important than I expected. I don't know why I wouldn't have expected the 14 to be important. But there you go. Silly. Freely admitted, sometimes I am a silly Billy. Alright, let's do the easy stuff again. 1, 2. Oh, okay, okay. Which means this needs, yeah, the 4 needs to be like this. Okay. Shape bank. Sure. Oh, 1. 1. Oh, shape bank. Which means this needs to, okay, and this needs walls there. So this can't go up in any of these directions. But it needs to go, like, to here or something like that. This is 3, which is hilarious. And this is 3. Interesting. So this can extend out one of these 2 corners. Except if it does, that requires it to extend out this corner or this corner, which it cannot. So it's got to go like here, here, or here, here in order to work. So that's separated. Okay, so for this to be part of a thing, it has to be like that. And then either include only that separated from these, which it can't. So that's a thing on its own. This now cannot go down. So this has to be either like this or like this in this corner. But these 2... Ooh. This could still take up this line here as part of the 1. This also needs to do this, and maybe does this also, but at least this much. These are all separated. I guess looking at my options down here, we could just keep doing this across, except we can't, not really, because of the way this 3 works. So either these 2 need to be part of the same region, which would be doable if I did that. Or these 2 need to be part of the same region. Which, like, can't go up there. That needs to be a separate thing. So Neither of these work, so it has to be these two as part of a region. Which means we're looking at this. That does not change what this has to do. Ah, but this is now locked in like that. So this kind of has to... Can it go up? If it goes up, it blocks off this too. So it has to extend like this. Now we have this, and then this needs to be part of a different thing. And then this needs to extend out here and go up or down. With this does need to extend down to here. So this needs to fill this out. And this can take all of this, and then this can fill out the rest of it. Okay. That took a lot more coming together than I expected for a 2. Which is, again, I think, a sign that I am not quite as in tune with this mechanic as maybe some of the developers expected me to be. It is neat, but it is harder to assemble into a cohesive whole for me. For reasons, probably. Go? Yeah, alright, let's try some 4s. Alright, let's deal with these 1s. This 2 is easy. This 2 is easy. This 3 is easy. And this 4... My god. Let me draw the lines. Is easy. Oh! Between the 3 and the 4, that means this 2 has to, has to join these 2 slots. And these... Okay, so this has to be separate. How? I don't think I did this right. Starting again. Maybe let's start with the 4. And then the 3 needs to do that. Yeah, that... I think that means that these 2 need to be part of the same region somehow. So this needs to come all the way out to here. This needs to come all the way out to here. And then for this to be a 2, that needs to be a separate thing. Right? Which is not part of this region either. Now this needs another region. So this needs to come out to here. And this needs a 3rd region between 1, 2. So this needs to be separate from these. Which is doable. Okay, so this is all one region here. This continues to need to come out, so this needs to be yet another region here. So that comes out to here, which means this needs to be yet another region here, which is not this. So this needs to come out all the way to here. And cannot be part of this region. This has its 2, and this needs to still make it all the way out there. So this is going all the way out to here. Which means this needs to be separated. So this has its 2. This needs to come to here. which means these join here. Wow. And need to be all there. This has, okay, this needs to extend to be its 2, and this needs to click. That's a cool one. I like that one. I like the way that it, you know, you start with like this kind of innocuous setup and it just extends across the whole puzzle. That's very cool. That is good puzzle design. I, a person who does not design puzzles, declare this puzzle to be well designed. Oh. Polyominoes, eh? Well, that's pretty clear. Which means these two need to be part of the same region and cannot touch any of these polyominoes. Also, these two need to be part of the same region and cannot touch these polyominoes. Ah, which means this is really limited. This has got to do exactly that. Is this limited in the same way? This could still be like, no, this cannot be like that. And it cannot be vertical. So it's gotta be, yeah, it's gotta be exactly this, doesn't it? Which means this is all one region. Coming up here. So this, and this are all the same light blue. Can I make them be the same color? There we go. Cannot touch that. This cannot be a T like this, because that would make this run into the 3 here. So it has to be exactly these 4? I think it has to be exactly these 4. So now this can be like that, for example. Could be like that. Could be like this, or like that. There's a lot of options here. It can't go like this, or it can't go like vertical. So whatever it's doing horizontally. And also, these two are part of the same region. This is required. So it's like this. Oh. And then either across here or across here. Interesting. This is also interesting here. I'm not exactly sure what this means yet. Whatever this means, it is taking a vertical spot somewhere here. Well, it can't take these two, right? Because that would seal this off and it needs to connect to both of these. It could be straight down. If it's straight down, it would have to go to the right. Straight down would allow them to connect this way. It could also be these two and this. That seems legit. Like, it could be like that. These two need to connect still. It kind of looks like what's happening here is this is shaping up to be required to be these four. Because if it's these four, then this doesn't have a way out. Oh, I think, yeah. Okay, yeah. So now that I look at it, regardless of whatever else is going on here, this cannot be these four, because then these two cannot join and then connect down here. So it has to be like this, which means this has to be like this. This is a separate thing. Yeah, and then this is the blue that connects to these. So that goes like that, which means this connects here? No. How are these getting around this to connect to this? Because these two need to be the same region still. Oh, I guess that means this has to be like that. Oh, this is very weird up here. Because this feels like it has to be like this now. I feel like something is very wrong in this location. This doesn't work. I feel like something is very wrong here. Where did I go wrong? This being a 4 is a real problem. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this situation entirely? So maybe this is like... Something about this 4 just doesn't... I don't know how to make this work. Watchtower? Which watchtower? Oh, this one. Yeah, because this can't connect anymore. Because all the regions are sealed off. I understand. Yeah, this is really not coming together. All right, let's start over. Let's start over. That needs to come out, that needs to come out, and cannot touch this. I think what happened is I looked at this and was like, oh, it has to do this, when it doesn't. It can do this still. Like, it can't do this because of the 3. But it could do this. There's a lot of options here. I don't know why I was so stuck on this. Anyway, this is definitely correct. This is all one region here in the corner, which might mean that these connect, but doesn't necessarily. That doesn't work. Which means this cannot be part of this, so we have a wall there. and some more walls elsewhere. Whatever. Yeah, this kind of got me started on this whole, like, going all the way around the board fiasco, but it really can't through this 4. So this must have been wrong. This must have been, like, instead of this, instead of the S in that SZ, whichever one it is, must be like this, I guess, so that these two can connect without going through this 4. All right, yeah, let's work with this. Let's see if this is correct. And then this comes up here, can't touch that, which means these two have to be part of the same region. If this seals here, then this can't get across. So this has to go either up or down. And then this could be part of the teal collective. In fact, do I just want to assume that it connects like this, and then this is just done? That would be the easiest way to do this for sure. This can be its own thing. This comes out here. So this now still does the... Ooh, no, it does a different thing now. Because this can't go down now. Nor can it go across. So this is still wrong. Which I think means this does have to connect like this. And then this still needs to... This puzzle is weird. Wow, I am having a real hard time figuring out whatever my initial thing needs to be. And how stuff is connected. Because these two need to be the same region. So let's just start with this. And then this needs to be a region together. Does not separate. I don't know what's up with this too. Like, I feel like something is up over here that doesn't quite... I don't understand why this restriction needs to be placed. Likewise with this one. I don't understand why this restriction needs to be placed. Well, we know that this can't go down to here because that caused huge problems later. Does have to go across, presumably. I don't think there's anything that hits this space that doesn't hit this space as part of this shape. Okay, actually, let's examine our priors, just to be sure, right? If this... Yeah, okay. So if this extends across this space, this watchtower is screwed up, which is what I thought was going to happen. So it can't extend across this border, which means, yeah, it literally has to do this. There's no other way for this to do anything else. That comes out, that comes out, that comes out, that comes out, that's a line. So this is where I am at. This is a situation I understand to be true. True and factual and accurate. But from here, that's where things get tricky, you see. Maybe I can figure some stuff out in this corner without, like, needing to work on this stuff. Like this idiot. Like, it can't do this, right? Because that screws up the 4. And likewise, it cannot do this, because that also screws up the 4. So, it can still be like that. Or like that, I think. Either of those. It doesn't necessarily need to take the entire corner, is my point. Which means that we are really not, like, fixed here. Got that much. This cannot take this spot, so it has to either go up or right, if not both. Could be both. Could be that. Dang, dude, watchtowers are hard. I don't even think it's watchtowers. I think this is just a hard puzzle. Because really what the watchtowers... I mean, the watchtowers over here are doing whatever they're doing. But the watchtowers over here are just saying these 2 cells need to be in the same region. Which, like, okay. Right, these need to be the same region. These need to be the same region. And they can all be one region. It doesn't need to be this is one region and this is a separate region. It can all be one region. But... yeah, we don't have any particular reason to think one way or the other. If this gets sealed off, is that a problem? Like, does this need to come down to here and then connect? Like, there's so many different ways for things to connect that it seems odd to have these kind of, like, this and this requiring certain amount of region in this, like, back wall area. What does this tell me? Not a whole lot, to be honest. This either needs to come out on top, or out on the bottom, or both. But I don't have a good sense of what it does need to do. I guess if we assume this is coming out here, this has to be sealed off. Which means this has to go here, and either up or down. Down is illegal, so it has to be up. Alright, so all of this, all of what we're doing from here on out is predicated on this region needs to come out the bottom here. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But this is what it looks like right now. This comes up here. This is sealed off. This needs to be a region. This is sealed off. This needs to be a region like that. This needs to come out to here. This comes out to here. This cannot be a cross, so it needs to be up or down. And then this needs to extend through to here, like that. No reason for this to necessarily extend. Can doesn't have to. This needs to be a 2 going up or down. I don't see any reason for it to extend up. This needs to come here. So this is now in a situation where I can't think of a way for this T to be a T without sealing off this top area at this point. Because of this connection problem here. Can't go left, can't go up. So if this comes out the bottom, this cannot come out the top, is what I am hearing. Which is weird, because why would this stuff be, like, as non-specific as it is? You know, it has, like, okay, there needs to be 2 regions here, but then this could be, like, its own thing, or not its own thing, or... Because this still needs to connect to this, somehow. And if it can't come out through the top, it's got to connect to this. And then come up here. But this cannot cross this line. No matter how this is positioned, here, or here, or here, it seals off from getting through here. And this is sealed off because of the way this shape is, right? So there's no way for this to get through this line of shape, shape, for shape. So something is wrong here. I think this can't come out the bottom. I don't think there's any way for this to come out here and connect with this. I think it all... or maybe they both need to come out their respective sides? But I don't see how to make that happen. Because if we do this, then this has to be like that. Oh, there is a way for this to still work without this doing that. It's this and this being part of the same shape here. Okay, and then everything does need to connect through. And then this still does this thing. Which means this is now that. So this is 4 and that. Not necessarily. In fact, that looks illegal because that stops that. So it must be 4 and up. So now this does have to be down. This now needs a 2 here, so this has to be 2 like that. I think that connects there. So this has to connect... This has to be like that, I think, for this to work. Oh, okay. So maybe this 2 and this 1 are hints as opposed to necessary for the puzzle to work? Just to be like, yeah, hey, actually all of this stuff connects in the back. As opposed to just like you needing to figure that out separately. Wow, that was a journey. Yeah, figuring out that nothing can cross this line, I think, is kind of the determining factor. Wow. I restored the watchtower window. Which did not open anything up over here. Nor did it allow me traversal to these other sides. Alright, I think I do still want to unlock the big watchtower puzzle. So let's keep playing watchtower puzzles until I silver this window. Shape bank! I do love a good shape bank. Alright, these are all separate. This has to be like that, and this has to be like that. Which means those has to be like that. So now this has to be that and that. This 2 requires this. And then up in one of these 2. This can't be like that. So these 2 and these 2 need to be together in some way. I feel like I should see the owl and I don't. Like, this kind of wants to do that, I think. Ah, alright. There we go. One. Okay. Well, this clearly goes out to here. And then either takes these 2 or these 2. This might be these 5. This needs a dot coming out somewhere here. I guess there is a world in which it's like this. Oh, but then these 2 alone don't work. Right? So if these don't take those, this then has to come out and be part of this. Which is illegal. So this has to take this, which means this comes out like here and takes these. Which means this has to come out like this. This has to take this up. Which means this has to go here. And then we kind of just draw the rest of the owl? Yeah. Yeah. Alright, cool. You know, sometimes the 3s are easier than 4s. And sometimes the 3s are easier than 2s. And sometimes the 4s are harder than 3s. And sometimes the 4s are harder than 5s. There's a lot of room for individuality in these puzzles. And the way any given player deals with difficulty is going to be very different from player to player, I think. Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, yeah, there's these, like, sparkles coming down. Oh, that's so distracting. That's so distracting. A lot of 2s on this difficulty 2 puzzle. How do I feel about that? Is there any way to know how to start this? Do we just guess and hope it works? True. Oh, the 2's in the center are the problem. I see. Because anywhere I do a 2, now I have to do 2's in a column all the way. Oh, not everything needs to be 2's. Just these need, just the 2's against the, just the ones that are 2's need to be 2's. All of the others can be not 2's. Hold. So this being a 2 doesn't mean that this needs to be a 2. It means that these 2 need to be together. But it could be together all the way until it hits another 2 or whatever. Okay, so I'm kind of reading then that anything that isn't part of one of these 2's is all one big region. Because all of these little watchtowers need to see exactly 2 regions. Okay, so this can't go up, for sure. Because then I have, this is a region, and then for sure, a 3rd region. So we can start with this at least. So this is a region that's different from this, and whatever direction this goes, not only does this need to go to that side, it also needs to go down to cover the other side around it. So this needs to go across like this for sure. And then if this is like this, this needs to come down. And if this is like this needs to not only come down there, but also come down here. What else does this mean for me? This 2 can't go across, for much the same reason that this 2 couldn't. So it's a wall here and a wall here. Which means this is all part of a region here. And because of this being here, these need to be the same region. Likewise here, there's a region here, and because of this, these need to be the same region. So this is a 2 like this, and it needs to be surrounded. This needs to be separate from here, and it cannot be a 1. I guess it can be a 1 on its own. No, it can't because of the other 2. So this needs to join up there. Likewise here, this can't be a 1 on its own. Likewise here, this can't be a 1 on its own. I don't know, this is still unclear. But this can't touch this, so that has to do that. And this has to do that. And then the way this makes most sense is like that, right? No. Because this needs to be a thing on its own, like that. It does need to be a 1 on its own. It can't not be a 1 on its own. Neat. Alright, the puzzle full of 2's resolved. This is not a puzzle full of 3's, as it turns out. 12's. It just has a bunch of 3's in it anyway. Because 3's are hard? Because 3's are hard. So this is interesting, right? We need 3 different regions here, which means the 8 can take no more than 2 of these slots. So the 8 cannot take this slot. And now cannot take that slot either. If the 8 goes down here, it is sealed off from the rest of the puzzle. So it has to go across. Five, 6, 7. And now goes either across or down. So now this 12 has to come out to here. I guess one of these has to be taken by the 8. And then the other has to be its own, like, empty thing. Oh, and the 8 can't touch this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so same rules as the 8. I just gotta follow along, right? This can't go down, because then it'll be sealed off from the rest of the puzzle. So it has to go like this. And now this needs to be its own thing. 7. This cannot be part of the 12. So that's a wall. In fact, we can do that for sure. So again, if this goes across, it seals itself off. So it has to go down. Now this goes down, it seals itself off, has to go across. Has to continue going across. 10, 11, 12. So now the same thing with this 10 as we've done everywhere else. So this has to go up and then into here and then across. And then can't go down, has to go across. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can't take that, has to take that. Alright, alright. I like this. It took a little bit to figure it out, but once I got started on it, it all kind of flowed together, which is... I think I have talked about how I like my puzzles to become solved. And that is indeed how I like my puzzles to become solved. What the crap is going on here? Mingle shape. Oh. Oh. Well, these two have to be the same, and this cannot be the same as that. And now that this is set up, we have to do that. Mingle shape. Alright, so this 3 is resolved, and this 3 is resolved. And with this, actually, we have to do this. So now this 3 is resolved, and this cannot be a 2, so it has to be at least that. Unless these touch, somehow, which will be a mess. There's too many 3s out here for these 2 to touch. This 3 is resolved. So one of these needs to go across, or through into the space. This 3 has 2, needs a 3rd. These can both be... One of these can be solo. How do I feel about this stuff here? Oh, because of this, this needs to be a wall. This cannot just be a 2. So if it comes out, it's got to be like an elbow or something. And nothing, we can't have elbows. Elbows are not allowed. So, okay, legal shapes given this situation, right? You can have a 1. You can have a 2. You can have a 3. You cannot have a 3 like this. Elbows are right out for Botan. Because there's nowhere where that can sit next to a 3 watchtower. So any amount of line is okay. But any corner is not okay. So everything has to be a line. A 1, 2, 3, or 4 line. Or 5, I guess. Yeah, you just can't turn a corner. Okay, alright. I'm starting to figure this out. So this could... Whoa, clear notes. Go back to my original tool. Thank you very much. Ugh. So one of these needs to come out. And if it's this one, it can't stop at 2, and it can't stop at 3. So it would need to be 4. Well, we don't know that it can't stop at 3. This could be a 4 instead of a 3. In fact, there's good odds that this is a 3, honestly. And then this ends up being... Right? And then this comes out here. I like the pink. Go back to the pink. Thank you. Oh, no, this doesn't actually work, because now we end up in a mess over here, where everything needs to be the same shape. But, like, neither of these can be a 2. One of them can be a 1, but then the other needs to be a 3. So maybe this is the 3 and this is a 1? And then this has to be like a 2? So now we have a 2 here. So this could be a... Oh, no, that can't be a 1. Okay. So if this is a 1, this needs to be a 2. Except it can't be a 2, so it needs to be a 3. And one of these two needs to not be a 3, but we'll figure that out later. And then this needs to be a 3. This can then... No, this can't be a 2. And it can't be a 1. So this is illegal. Like, from this point on. Trial and error has led me to believe that we have hit an error, so this trial is over. Because this can't be a 1. And it can't be a 2. And there's nowhere else for it to go. So, this has to be here. And not a 2. So at least a 3. So this is a 1. Which means this can't be a 1 and has to be a 2. Which means this has to be a 1. And this has to be separate here. And cannot be a 2 or a 3, so must be a 1. This has to be a 1 also. So these two have to be part of the same, and these two have to be part of the same. Which means that's a 1. That's a 1. This is a 3, and that's a 1. Oh, that's pretty, actually. I like the pattern here. Once I realized that it had to be like this, of course it has to be this, like, repeating pattern. Of course, that's exactly how you would do it. That's how it ends up. Should have seen that one coming. My own lack of foresight brought me to this location. This is entirely on me. How are we doing here? 5 more. All right, we'll keep going. Whoa. All right, well, here's some 4s. This is a 2. So this and this, yeah, this all needs to be 1. This is a, let's see. What other situations are we in here? This 3 is difficult. So something does need to go, like, all the way around and join up with this. Because these two can't be the same. So this actually needs to go maybe through here and up and around. But whatever this is, it needs to go all the way around here. And take that. This is interesting. So it needs to take this route. So through here. And then this and this and this are separate. All right, so that's resolved. For this to be a 2, that needs to happen. For this to be a 3, that needs to happen. And then this needs to connect. Nice. Nice. Good puzzle. Good puzzle. 1. Okay. This is 1? Okay. Okay. This is 2. That's fine. This is 1. This being 1 is a bit of a conundrum. A pickle, if you will. This and this need to be part of the same region. So this needs to extend out either this way or up and around that way. Can this go all the way across and around? Honestly, probably. All right, let's try it the easy way first, which is this. Excuse me? Oh. All of the center stuff needs to be part of the same region. I missed that these are 1s. I even said aloud that these are 1s and was like, oh, they're 1s? And then forgot that they're 1s. So this does need to come out. This does need to come out. And this needs to be a separate region from this here because of the 2. This needs to be the same region as this, which means it cannot be part of this region. Yeah. Okay. So this needs to come out, which means this needs to be yet another separate region. So it does need to connect exactly this way. And I think this needs to be its own thing like that. Likewise here. So that this comes out like this. Connects to this somehow. And still connects across here because this connection is taken. So connects like this. And again, this is taken, so it needs to connect that way. Connects there, and this is its own thing. Sure. Yeah, alright. I see the vision. Precision. All regions must have an area of exactly 4. Well, that's 4. This needs 4. It's got to be like that. This needs 4. Got to be like that. This needs 4. Got to be like that. Which I suppose solves the puzzle. Precision 3. All right. Well, this is a 3. This needs 3. Got to be like that. This is a 2, which means we have to have the surrounding bits. That is 3. That's great. This can go up or down, or up or left. We don't know yet. That comes out, and then that is yet another region. This is a 3. Interesting. So this has to be like this, and then this is its own thing. But this needs to come out like that. So that has to connect there. And then for this to be a 3... that means 1, 2, and there needs to be a wall here. And they separate. Cool. Precision 4. All right. The 2 in the corner here is actually a pretty big giveaway. We need to do that and that in order for that to get covered. Now we have 2 sealed off here. So again, like that. This needs to be a 4. This needs to be a 4. This needs to, cannot touch that, be a 4. So this is 4 like that. And then 4 and then 4. Ta-da! Silver! Which means I can... Yeah, one big question mark. All right, I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't love it. Oh my god. These are all clues types that I hate. Maximum 5, huh? And all regions must have different shapes. Do we have to include all of the 5s? I don't want to do math. 57. There are 69 total cells. Nice. I love math. Sometimes. I sometimes love math. All right. If these are all 1, and this is all 1, one of these is an O, and one of these is an O with a dot. Let's draw some walls, I guess. At most, area 5, and all regions have to have different shapes. Sure. And I think we fill this in after we've got this filled in, because then I know which shapes are left over. Okay. One of these is an O, the other one is an O with a dot. Hang on one second. Okay, deal with that later. Yeah, the entire puzzle is shape unique. Yes, that's correct. Which, I mean, I guess it makes sense. This is a 7, right? Like, this isn't... The whole point is it's not going to be that easy. And having done this part, I guess maybe these restrictions down here tell me a little bit more about what I am allowed to use up here. So maybe I do need to have this figured out. Because, like... This is definitely going to use up my elbow. For sure. There's only so many ways to use up this region without using up my elbow. In fact, I think there are no ways to fill up this region without using up my elbow. And I have 3 corners that need to do something. So almost assuredly, I have to use up my 1. I guess it could be, like this, and then a 3, and then a 4, but that's still, like, the same 3, or 2 or 1, which doesn't work. And this can't be a 2 and a 1 if this is a 2. And if this is an elbow, we could have a 4 here. Oh, this could be a 5, actually, but then this needs to be a 2. So I guess if this is a 1... we could have a 4 here, and a 5 here, and a 2 here. So we can actually fill this out without using my elbow, if I need to use an elbow. But this uses up the 1 and the 2. What other solutions do we have down here? We could have the elbow, the 2. That's the 2. Yeah, this keeps, like... because if this is an elbow, I guess this could be the SZ. And then this has to be... it really does seem like this has to do exactly this, now that I'm looking at it. Like, this can be the 1, or the 2, or the elbow, right? If this is a 2... this could be the 1 and this could be the 2? No. So this now has to be the elbow, exactly. Which means this could be 1 and not 2, not elbow, so no. So this has to be the S. Which means this has to be 1 and 2 is illegal. Can't be the elbow. So this is just straight up doesn't work if this is the 2. If this is an elbow, this can't be 1 and 1, so this has to be the 2. This cannot be a 2. It cannot be a 1 on its own, because that would seal this off. So this has to be... and it can't be like an elbow here and a 1, so this has to be the Z. And then this is required to be the... again, this is required to be the elbow? So it really does seem like the only way to do this is like this. I'm fairly certain that this is required, which is pretty limiting in terms of what we can do up here now. Like, this can no longer be like this and have this be a 1. If this is going to be like part of a 2, then it would need to be 3, 4, 5, I guess? Which doesn't work. Like, I can't do that because that doesn't work. I can do that, but then this and this need to be separate, which means this needs to be the 1, which it can't. So this can't go out that way. If this goes out that way, that's also illegal. This is now a 2 and a 1. So this can't go out. This just has to be the O on its own. This can't go out that way. And this cannot be a 1 or a 2. So it needs to be part of this. We do have an elbow available. True. True. I think that's going to be here, actually. Because this can't be a 1 or a 2. This has to be the vertical 3. So this has to come out to be the 4 at least. And this has to connect to this. Oh, no. This has to go that way. But that means this has to come out this way. Maybe this is where the elbow is, actually. Because this has to come out also. So we're looking at this guaranteed. Although this can just go up, right? This could be long Z. But yeah, these can't connect here. This can't be a 2, so it has to at least come out to here. And then has to come up, because it can't be the 3. And then has to... Can long Z, or can big elbow. But regardless, this is a separate thing that needs to come out. So this has to be the elbow here, because these need to be separate. If this big elbows, this now has to be long Z here. No, that creates a problem with the 2. So maybe this does that. And then this does tall Z. Which means this is part of a region. This being part of a region on its own is a bit problematic. Because now we have a 1 here that is stuck. Oh, we haven't used, we have used O, though. And the version of O that has a dot, so that doesn't work either. Maybe this here. But it can't take both of these, because that's too big. So I think it needs to... No, we've used the SZ. This is probably the F. Which makes this potentially the plus? If we can figure out a way to get this resolved in a way that's not miserable? So many problems. I'm not sure how far back I need to go is the thing here. Like, I'm not sure which other part of this I screwed up in. All right, let's go back to here. This cannot be the 1 or the 2, so it has to be the line. I think that I'm on board with. Which means either this needs to be the 5 or this needs to be the 5. And I think we agreed that this was illegal. I don't know why we agreed that this was illegal, but I think we agreed that this was illegal. Think that was a false rejection? Maybe. Because this can just be like this, whether or not it comes up or not. I think actually that means that this needs to be the elbow and this needs to come up. Yeah, the elbow is usable. And then this can't be waves. This can't be the zigzag. So it needs to be tall Z. But then that... Oh, this was the problem here. Right? Is... If this goes to here... and is not the elbow, right? If we use the elbow here... Which I don't know that we have to. If this comes out there, this needs to extend. And this can't be Z. Nor can it be zigzag. So yeah, this has to be the elbow here. I don't think there's a way around that. I think that has to be the elbow. If this comes out right, as opposed to this coming up. For the record. Right? This is all predicated on whatever's going on here. If this comes out right, then this needs to be the elbow. Which means... this needs to not be the elbow. Cannot be the S. Has to be long Z, which screws this up. Like, that screws this up, this 3. Or has to be zigzag, which it can't. Yeah, no, I think this actually does need to be like this. And then this comes up here. Now, this can't be the 1 or the 2. Can still be the elbow. But this needs to take those. And either be the LJ or be long Z. I guess it can't be long Z because then this is sealed off. So this needs to be the 4. And then this needs to come out. This cannot be the T because this needs to be split off. So this needs to come out to here. And then it's fighting here. So it either needs to be elbow or it needs to be long Z. One of these two. This, in fact, has to be the elbow now. Because of the 3. So the 3s are all covered. And if this is covered, this needs to be either elbow or long Z. I think it needs to be elbow so we can have long Z here, but that screws this up. If this is elbow, this needs to cover both of these. Which now this is not okay. So this needs to be long Z. And this could be the T here. No. Because then we need 2 or elbow or S or long S or zigzag, all of which are already taken. This could be the T instead of the long T. No, because again, that's a problem over here. So I think this needs to be tall Z. Could be F? No, because it can't have the 1. I think it needs to be tall Z. But then this is a problem. Can't be S, that's used. Man, this is such a... Maybe there's another way to put this together that's not this, because this is real restrictive. I have not seen another way to put this together. Also okay, assuming that this is plus. I'm just gonna make some assumptions out here and see how I feel about them. Not great. I think not great is how I feel about them. Man, this would work so well if I could use the J here, because then I could bucket. And then we could have long Z out here. No, we couldn't. That would also not work. How goes the conundrum? It's, quite the conundrum. Quite the pickle. Quite the enigma. It's a real stickler. Yeah, this just needs to be that, right? There's no other way that this can be set up. I mean, I guess that's still legal. And then this would need to go like that, or like that, but neither of those work. That doesn't work, and that doesn't work. So this needs to be that exactly. Which leaves us in some trouble for this kind of corner. There's only so many shapes I can fit in here with the high requirements of multiple regions. Which maybe means we have some incorrect priors. Because nothing seems to be working out here. All right, let's take some notes here. On what we believe to be the correct shape. And try this again. So what else could work here? If this is a 2, we can't have 1 and 2. So this would need to be the elbow. Which means this can't be 1 and 1. This can't be 2 on its own. This can't be the elbow, so this would need to be the Z. And then we need another elbow. So we can't have this be a 2. If this is an elbow, then this is a 2. And this can't be the 1 on its own. No, if this is the 1 on its own, then this is also a 1. So that's also illegal. If this is the 2, it can't be the 2. So this needs to be, can't be the elbow, so it needs to be the Z, and then we need the elbow again. So yeah, this can only be the 1 on its own. This now can't be a 1, can't be a 2, can't be a 3, because then we'd need another 1, so it needs to be the Z. This can't be a 1. This can be a 2. This can be a 3. If this is a 3, then we would need a Z down here. If this is the Z, no, we already have the Z. Yeah, this has to be it. There's no other way for this to put together. I think it's just it. Like, I don't think there's any other way to make this come together. So these sides cannot have the 1 or the 2, so must be the 3. And now there's the question of which of these has the extender dot. We determined previously that this is illegal, but let's try it again. This can't be the 1 or the 2. Can be an elbow. But if this is an elbow, this can't be the 1 or the 2 or the elbow. Needs to come out. This needs to come out. Now we have wall here. And this cannot go right. Nor can it go up. So we've hit an illegal space. So what if this comes out to here? This now needs to come up, which means this needs to be spread. And this needs to be the zigzag, which it can't, or the Z, which it can't. So yeah, this is illegal. So this just has to be like that. This cannot be the 1 on its own, nor can it be the 2, nor can it be the 3. So it has to be at least this. Could be tall Z. I think we still haven't ruled out this being, not tall Z, long Z. I think we still haven't ruled out this being long Z. If this is long Z, this has to come up and this has to be a separate region. Which means we definitely have the elbow here. Oh. No. Because one of these, this still needs to be like that. And this can't be the 1 or the 2. What have I done wrong? I've done something wrong. Something has gone very wrong here. This needs to come out. So this needs to cross like that. Yeah, this needs... I can't get away from this. I really feel like this is the only legal starting situation. And now this is either long Z or elbow. This has to come up. Does it? No, it doesn't. That could be like that, because this has to come up. So we're in this situation again. This has to either be long Z or elbow. If it's elbow, this is stuck. Because it can't be a 1, can't be a 2, can't be a 3, can't be the LJ, can't be I guess it could be long Z. But now this 2 is screwed up. Yeah. So this needs to be long Z. Which means what? How do we get this to be a 2 in this situation? It's really a shame we don't have a 1. But this can be like a T? Long T? This is not a long T. I don't know what this is. Lowercase t? I haven't figured out what to call this one. But we don't have access to anything that fits in this shape. Like, as is, we don't have any access to anything that fits in this shape anymore, because these 2 are taken. We don't have an elbow. Plus isn't going to work, because I can't get bigger. I can't use a 1. Capital T here leaves us with the same problem as before, though, because we can't have long Z here, because it's taken, and we can't have zigzag, because it's taken. Glad you're just watching in the background, not in charge. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. This is legit a 7. I agree. I agree with the 7 rating. I would love it if this could just be the J. That would make my life so much easier. If this could be something else and this could be the J. Which, like, maybe? If we make this the elbow here? No, because now this is a problem here, right? Because this has to go somewhere, and it can't. It can't be the elbow. It can't be the S. It can't be the zigzag. It would have to be like that, except we can't use a 1, because it can't go down either. No, I think we correctly determined that this is not possible. Which means this has to be here. I think this has to actually be the starting configuration. I don't think there's any other way to do this, or at least I haven't figured it out yet from putting all my stuff together, putting all my information together. This thing down here continues to be like a thorn in my side. Will no one rid me of this troublesome punctuation? But that means we have to have exactly J or exactly long Z here. There's no other way to do it. And then these all have to be different. And we don't have access to 1s or 2s. And if this goes to 3, this seals off. If I use long. So this has to be the J. Man, I hate this. I hate this. I keep finding myself in the exact same situation, and I can't find a way out of it. I need like a cheat sheet for pentominoes that exist. All right, but if this comes out this way, then this needs to happen, right? And this needs to be its own separate thing. And then this has to go either right or up. And this has to seal off and be the elbow. So 1, 2, both of the 3s. O, S, Z, L, J. That leaves T and I. The recent Fez run in Collaborated On, where you had to do the unwrap puzzle. Yeah. Yeah. Man, having to do Fez as a collaborative game sounds wild. Considering doing the math to find out if all polyominoes up through 5 were used. Yeah, I was considering doing that as well. Because we know the full region count, which is 69. Nice. But yeah, this can't be the F, because that seals off 1. This can't be the lowercase t? You tend to be the shoehorn when difficulty reaches a level. Ah, yeah, alright, that makes sense. What's up, Kellerman? How's it going? I keep landing on this has to be tall Z, but then what do I do over here? Like, this can't be F. I mean, I guess this could go out that way. But now how do I fill this space? With no access to O or whatever this thing is. Just got home from work. Nice. Welcome back. Because, like, if this is this, these have to be the same region here. And I don't have access to elbow. I don't have access to O. I don't have access to anything below 4 right now. And the 4s I have access to are T's and I's, which don't fill in this space. So what kind of weird 5 garbage can fill in this space? Like, that's already taken. Yes. A mirrored Z is a conflicting shape. Rotations and mirrors are the same. Like, this feels like maybe we could do that. Except then this is unsatisfied. This is so close to just working, though. Except for this, too. The polyominoes through 5 total to 79. Okay. So we can skip 2 of the 5s. That's good to know. Maybe this is a T? But if this is a T, I need S or zigzag to get out of here, both of which are taken. This is an I. That doesn't work. Also, here is a problem. Wow. Maybe this can be the same here. And then this now has to be separate things. So this has to come out, and then this is a problem? Everything is a problem. Everything is a problem. Betting we skip F and U, maybe. I think F is actually too useful to skip. But bucket is probably skippable. There's quite a few places that I want to put Fs here. I'll be honest with you. Yes. Mirrors are the same. S and Z are the same. There are 4 available. Five? There are 5 available 4-size polyominoes. There is I, there is mirrored S and Z, there is mirrored L and J, there is O, and there is T. God, I'm still stuck on these. Like, maybe there's another config down here that lets us get away with some of the shenanigans that we've been trying to get away with up here. All right, one more time. From this position, what can we do? This can either be 1, 2, or 3 here. So that's where we'll start. Because this has to either be the 1, the 2, or the elbow. Because it can't touch this location. If it's the elbow, this is either the 1 and the 1, which is illegal. So it must be the 2. So now down here, these have to be separate. This can't be a 1, because it would seal that off. This can't be a 2 at all. And it can't be an elbow. And I don't have access to the other 3 in this location. So this would have to be a Z. Which leaves this as 1 and 2 or elbow. Both of which is illegal. So we can't have the elbow over here. What if this is a 2? Then this is either the 1, no, because that leaves 1, 1, 1. It can't be a 2, so it would have to be an elbow. And then we're in the exact same situation. We've used elbow in 2, and the rest of this is illegal. So this has to be 1, and SZ. There is no other config that works down here. Because if this is the 1, this can't be the elbow, because then we'd need another 1. And this can't be a 2, because then we'll need 2 1s or another 2. So this has to be SZ. Which means this is a 2 and the zigzag, which is exactly the situation I don't want to be in. Or this is the elbow and the SZ, which it can't be, because we've used an SZ. If this is an elbow, this could be a 2 and a 2, which is illegal. A 2 and 2 1s, which is illegal. A 1, which is illegal. An elbow, which is illegal. Or an S, which is illegal. So if this is the SZ, which is illegal, yeah, this has to be the 2, and this... I keep coming back to this arrangement. It has to be like this, I think. I don't think there's any other arrangement down here that actually works. Which is really frustrating, because I want these shapes to be accessible elsewhere. So the problem has to be, whatever we're doing up here, the problem has to be how we're starting with these 2 O's. Because one of these has to be an O, and one of these has to be an O with a dot. Like, this doesn't work because we don't have access to 2 1s. This doesn't work because we don't have an access to 2s. This doesn't work because we don't have access to 2s. So, this section here has to be the 3 line. The short I. So now the question is, do we have here, here, or here? This can be ruled out. Because we can't have a 1. So we're either going up here or we're going right here. If we go right here, this now needs to be part of another region. And it can't be a 1. Can't be a 2. Can be an elbow. But then this needs to be part of another region. Can't be a 1. Can't be a 2. At this point, can't be an elbow, if this is an elbow. So it has to come out to here. Now this has to be its own region. Coming out, can't be a 2. This can't be a S. And it can't be a zigzag. So it has to be a long Z. Which screws up this 3. So this doesn't work. This being an elbow doesn't work. If this comes out, it can't be the S. Can't be the zigzag. So it has to be long Z. Which means this has to be a 1. Which it can't. So this whole thing doesn't work. Which means this needs to come out to here. So now we have this as either the LJ or as long Z. The problem with this being long Z is now both of these need to come up. This can't be a 1, can't be a 2, can be a 3, but, or can be an elbow rather, but this is sealed off. So at this point, this has to be, yeah, this just has to be the LJ here. So we're at this point, which means this has to seal. Hey, what's up, Inknun? Yeah, I've restarted this puzzle so many times, Inknun, and each time I come to the same conclusions, and I hate all of them. They're bad conclusions, and I want to come to different conclusions instead, but I don't see a way to do so. So we're at this point. Yo, Zaleast, thank you for the raid. Welcome. Welcome, puzzle enthusiast and or Jim the Eternal enthusiast and or small indie stream enthusiast. Whatever you are enthusiastic about, welcome. We're struggling. That's what we're doing. Welcome to the struggle. So this can't be a 2. It's got to come out. Can't be the 3. It's got to keep moving. Can't be the LJ, so it has to be either the big elbow or the long Z. But when it comes out to here, this has to go up. And this, if this goes up, for this 3, needs to be sealed off here. So here we are, same place as before, and I hate it. Same place as before, and I hate it. Watched a bit of the channel I rated the other day. Seeing his process from a Sudoku-esque angle and not allowing vibe solving was fascinating. Yeah. I appreciate that approach, and I kind of can't do it myself. Like, I do it in Sudoku, but I can't do it in this game. I don't know why. Like, I can't hold myself back once I see it. All right, so if this is elbow, you're very vibe solving oriented in this game. I understand completely. What's up, Zaliste? I hope you had a good stream. If this is big elbow, this needs to come out. And because of this needs to take up this space. Which means this is dead. This is dead. This doesn't work. So this has to be long Z. So now we are in a situation. I keep getting to this exact point and then not finding another move past it. Because this needs to be something here in a way that allows us to move on with the rest of this. Like to vibe solve until something goes wrong, then try to figure out a good reason why the thing is going wrong. Sure, yeah, absolutely. I kind of try to only vibe solve at the end. Like, I find it very satisfying when you start from a logical position, and then each iteration of that logical position gets you more and more of the puzzle, and then you take another logical step and it gets you more of the puzzle, you take another logical step and it gets you more of the puzzle. Like, I really like that process. That's very satisfying to me. But also sometimes I'm just like, well, this has to work this way, doesn't it? And then put it in, and then it works, and then I move on. Because at that point, I'm not going to go back and try and prove why it works. It just works. Stealth mode until it breaks, then going noisy to finish. Yes, that's true. Vibe solving is the equivalent of breaking out the shotgun in stealth games. I agree. So the situation I'm at here is that this needs exactly 2 regions. And this is what the problem is here. Is we've used all of the 5s, many of the 5s, that would do a good job of filling out these corners. So what we can do here is this needs to extend, at the very least, into a 4. Because all the 1s, 2s, and 3s are taken. So the 4s that are available right now are I, which leaves this in a shape that cannot be used, or T, which leaves this in a shape that cannot be used. Because we've already done S, and we've already done zigzag. You have an interesting question. I have an interesting answer. No. I have an answer that may or may not be interesting. Unclear at the moment. I mean, I could just, I could have an answer ready for your question regardless of what the question is. Yeah, you know what? Let me think of an answer, and then you can ask your question. Give me a second. The answer is no. That's not an interesting answer. That's a boring answer. That is the most boring of answers. An interesting answer is yes, but, or yes, and. Maybe the answer is, for me, it was Tuesday. I really like that line. Street Fighter the movie had a surprising number of banger lines. Why do you have that emote, Cyber Benny? Yes, I could move on to a different puzzle. I don't need to be working on this exact puzzle, Mr. Gecko. That is true. However, look at this. Just look at this idiot. You think I'm going to stand here and let a 7 that is taking up this much virtual space in the zone unsolved? Like, I'm just going to look at this giant puzzle and be like, that's for later. Absolutely not. This exact puzzle looks bricked. I don't think I know what you mean by that. Alright, if instead of a 4, we move on to the 5s. I need a cheat sheet on 5s, still. The best out-of-your-hat answer to pair with a random question is 42. 42 is a valid answer to many puzzles. Or many questions, rather. Something like this, except this leaves me needing a S, or a zigzag, or a long S. I guess this is a Z. Or long Z, which is already taken. Bricked is in the current state is not a subset of the correct solution. It's possible. It's certainly possible. I might have been... I keep coming to this situation, and I feel like I have a prior assumption that is incorrect, but I don't know what that prior assumption... I don't know which state is the incorrect state that gets me to here. I don't know where I am making my wrong turn. This could be... I think I have landed on this a couple of times as like, maybe this is correct. But then this needs to be part of the same thing. Assumption this puzzle is solvable. Rude. I guess I could do this from here. Oh, this actually feels okay. So from here, or I could do this maybe. No, that leaves the S, long S problem here. So these two now need to be part of the same region. And I have access to T as well as I. But this kind of has a T vibe to it. So what if we T here? Now this needs to do something. This is a little problematic. Because this needs to come out and be part of some other region. Yeah, this feels like it's maybe screwed up. Okay, so this I don't think can be a T like this. I think it needs to extend to this. This could be a T here, and then we could F. Oh, no, we can't because of that. Because this needs to extend there. But yeah, from here, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. This maybe works. This could also be an I. And this could be long I, which gives us a little bit more room here. This still feels like a plus. And in fact, we could F over here. No, we cannot. We could F over here and then use the T. It turns out it was solvable. Get out of here, naysayers. All ye who say nay to me. No horses allowed. No naysayers. Oh, man. Now I need a horse emote for when people think I'm wrong. I guess that's what Jim the Confused is for. But anyway, call that resolved. We did it. Yeah, I solved extra puzzles in this region explicitly so I could get access to this puzzle. And now I have done it. I have done the thing. The thing is done. Which means we can move on to the next region. Oh my god, 43 to gold? Get out of here. We can move on to the other rule that I thought was interesting. Which is inequality. Alright, let's start taking notes. This has to be a 5+. This has to be 4+. This has to be 2+. Oh, I see how this works. Okay. This has to be 2+. So it has to, first off, let's do that. This has to be 2+, so it has to extend into here. Which means it has to be 3+, so it has to extend into here. Which means it has to be 4+, so it has to extend into here. Lines. Which means it has to be 5+, so it has to extend into here. For this to be a 2, it has to be like that. For this to be a 4, it has to be like that. And for this to be a 3, it has to be like that. Easy. You may find the note-taking tool especially useful within these puzzles. Yup. Alright, so these are separate regions, all of them here, which is interesting, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate regions. The biggest any region in here could be is 6, which means it can't be split into 3 and 3. This has to be at least a 2, and this has to be bigger. This has to be at least a 4, which means we have to have 2 and 4. So then this has to be a 1. This has to be a 3, and this has to be more than a 4, which is the 5. Yeah, easy. Well, that's a 1. So this has to be at least a 2, and so does this, and they have to join. And this has to be at least now a 3. So that has to connect here. Yeah, it all just connects. Oh, this is going the wrong direction. Haha, it's not as easy as I thought. But these two can't join. So this has to come out. This could be a 1, though. This has to be... What is happening here? I've screwed everything up! These two can join, and then this can be a 6. There we go. Bigger. Alright, so this is a line here. This needs to be at least a 2, this needs to be at least a 3, this needs to be at least a 4. Yes, and then the individual areas can be whatever they want. Yep. Oh. Okay, so these two could still be part of the same region, right? But if this is bigger than this, it needs to be at least a 2. But these could both be 1s, and this is resolved. This needs to be bigger than this. It needs to be at least a 2. This now needs to be bigger than this, which means this needs to be at least a 3? And these have to be separated. So this being at least a 3 is like that, which means this has to be a 4. And this has to be exactly a 2. This has to be at least a 2, so exactly a 2, so this is exactly a 1. And the 3 fills itself in. We will need some stinking notes. But at the moment, we do not need no stinking notes. That's probably accurate. Eventually, some stinking notes. Because, like, there's a big puzzle out here somewhere that I'm going to have to address at some point. Yeah, this idiot. Look at that guy. Just look at this monster. Sitting up in the broken tower. Needs a horde. Can't be a dragon without a horde. But anyway, we're going to silver this region and take a crack at the big boy. But in the meantime, we'll just solve some puzzles until we get there. All right. So this is 4+, and the same as this. So this and this cannot be the same. They have to be separate. So this is 3 exactly. This and this have to be the same shape, but cannot be the same region. And this needs to be bigger than this. Whereas this needs to be... Okay, so this is also 4+. Now that this 3 is resolved, we can resolve this 3 as well. So this is 1 or 2 here. Delta, obviously. But it means I can't do that, right? This is either a 1 or a 2. This is a 4+. Might be time to take notes. 4+. 4+. 4+, separate. Could be the same as this 4+. But this cannot touch this. Right? So like that. And then this would have to be that kind of 4. And then this could be a 4. Yeah, great. Okay, let's do it. 2, which means this is a 1. This is not a 1, whatever this is. Which, obviously... This is such a weird place for a delta. Like... I guess it's for symmetry for the puzzle? But... Like, yeah, obviously, this can't be a 1 because it's got to be bigger than something. Alright, this is a 4-. This is 4-. This is 3+. This and this are the same shape. So this is between 4 and 2. Cannot be less than 2. Because this has to be bigger than this. Wait, so this is a 3 or higher. So this is a 3 or higher. So this is a 4 or higher. And this is a 4 or lower. So this has to be exactly a 3, and a 4. Because of the chaining. So then if this is a 3, 1, 2, cannot go into the 2, this is that 3 exactly. So this 3 has to be the same shape, which is that. 4 minus 1? 1 is indeed less than 4. So this is now a 4 that goes to here. This is a 4 that has to be exactly like this, which means this 4 is like this, and this 5 is like that, and this 2 is like that. This needs to be more than a 1. Could be a 2. But this can't be a 1 either, so it needs to at least be a 3. Yeah, this can't be a 1, so this needs to at least be a 2, and cannot touch this. I feel like doing all of this didn't actually give me much insight into the rest of the puzzle. This 5 is interesting. Could this be a 5? No, this cannot touch this 5. Because whatever this is, it has to be more than this. This 5 could easily be something like that. Right? Because then this could be a 2 and a 1. And then this could be a 4, and then this could be the 4, and then this is a 1. And that does in fact work. Great. 6. This is bigger than a 6. And is the same as this, so that can't touch. 2, 3, 4. Hold on. 19, 21. So that's 6, 7, 7, and 1 is what I am hearing. Three. Whatever it is, it needs to end in the same 2. So this is probably like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like that. Because they have to be mirrors of each other. Yep. Easy. Huh? Not touching watchtowers. Get out of here. This is bigger than this is bigger than this. This is bigger than that is bigger than that. These two could be the same region. Okay. So the chain is 1 plus. This is 2 plus. So this is 3 plus. And this is 3 plus. Oh! Range 3 to 5. Alright! This is exactly 3, 4, 5. Same here. Chain of arrows means the smallest I can get is 3. Next size is 4. Next size is 5. And then again, the chain of arrows. So this is a 4. This is a 3. And this is a 3. So this 4 goes up to there. This is also a 5 and is probably part of the same 5. We don't know. This 4 comes down to here. This 3 goes at least up to there. Might touch this 3, actually. Could easily be the same 3. This 4 needs to at least go to there. This 5 needs to come up to there at least. Needs to come up to there at least. Be part of the same 5 here. Because it's bracketed here. And now it can go to other places. It could touch this one. All regions are 3 or 5. And mismatch is interesting. This 4 can't touch this 4 now. So this 4 definitely takes this one. Could be like O and T here. This could be elbow. In fact, If this 3 doesn't touch this 3, they would have to be... Oh, there are 2 shapes for 3s. Okay, so it has to be exactly this and this. This is required. Because there's too many spots that need to be 3s for the number of 3s that exist. So this needs to come out. These might touch. There's no rules against it. This can't be a 1, so it has to be part of the 4. So that's that 4 resolved. This can't be a 2, so it has to be part of the 4. So that's that 4 resolved. And now we vibe. And now we draw the owl. Because this looks like it needs to be that 5. This can be this 4. And if these connect, that's actually a problem. So let's make it be elbows and the O with the dot. Because if these connected, then I would need another of the same shape there. Nice. Palisades. I forgot about Palisades. This is at least a 2 here. Likewise, this is at least a 2 here. These can't both be 1s, so this is at least a 3. Because if they were 1s, it would break the palisade. That can't touch here. Only one of these can be a wall, huh? Fascinating. I think the vibe is that it touches both of these. And then is minimum 4. Oh, this shape is minimum 4. Palisade. The palisade means this is a 4+. And touches at least one of these. So this has to be at least a 5. Which means this has to be at least a 6. And can't touch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That allows this to be a 5, and this to be this 4. And then we fill in the rest. Good. Really good. Really good puzzle. This one I like. I mean, there's a lot of puzzles that I like, but that one I liked. Huh! Okay. There's definitely this sort of like visceral reaction when a puzzle has a lot of clues, or when a puzzle is too zoomed out, that I just like, that's a lot to process all at once. Which is, you know, that's fun. All right, so how does this work here? This is either 2 here, or there, or it's like this. Well, it can't go left here, so it would have to go like that. All right, we have 4 regions that are 5s in a 25 size puzzle. So that means we have 5 additional spaces that need to be not part of the polyominoes, right? Like this spot cannot be part of one of these polyominoes. This spot as well. This spot as well. Fog of War Sudoku is easier because it very explicitly guides your attention. Yeah, that's totally fair. Like, you know that whatever it is you're solving has to be within this kind of discrete region. I'm just gonna draw these lines as separate, like that. Because these can't be part of the 5s. So whatever this is doing, like, it could do that, but it cannot go into this region. Same thing with this. This can't go into this region either. Which means this could be like that. But it can't touch either of these. Any of these spots. This has to do what? Like that? Except it can't. So this has to go like that, I think? I think there is no way for this to be put in this corner without touching that region other than this. So this has to be 4 like that. Can't be up there, so it has to be like that. Which means this is exactly that, and this is exactly that. Oh. And then the puzzle's solved. Okay. As it turns out, all of the things I said were true. Sometimes yes, Dalek, sometimes no, because if you show later clues that are also deterministic, without forcing you to work your way to them, you could sometimes use those to backtrack and come at a region with more information from outside of the way they want you to solve the puzzle. So I agree with you that, like, the attention focusing thing potentially makes the puzzle easier, but it doesn't necessarily make all of the puzzle easier. It just gives you a place to focus. Oh, okay. All right, so there's exactly 3 regions here. 2, 3. This is 25 by 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 7, 7 is 21. 7, 8, 9 is 24. So it could be 7, 8, 10. But this needs to come out and can't touch that. Right? And this is the middle one. This is the smallest. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the largest one, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this takes up the rest of the space. One, 2, 3. 16 divided into 3 separate regions. Times in DEG where you solved a region before you knew you solved it. Interesting. I don't know enough about the mechanics of DEG to really resonate with that statement. Other than, like, I know that you lay tiles out and kind of lay out a path. No, that's Tiling Town. That's something else. I don't know. Anyway, I fully, like, I've definitely been in situations like that in other games where I kind of lay out sort of the information that I have, and that means that I have a solution. Like, it just is solved because of that information. It's like, oh, well, I guess that's that. Like, I mean, like, that happened with the fives puzzle that I just did, like, a couple of puzzles ago. It was the same kind of thing. I didn't feel like I had solved the puzzle, but apparently it was enough information to have solved the puzzle. So this has to be the smallest. And we are probably looking at like 4, 5, 7. So if this is the smallest, this is the closest one. So it probably connects to that. This is the next biggest. And it could connect with this. It needs to be at least a 5. And then this needs to be everything else. Oh, it's a 5. Whoa. Hello? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 regions on this side, 5 regions on this side. So it made you say it? Yeah. I had one moment like that. I remember Goetia, which is a game that Senna gifted me a while ago. It's like a kind of a little bit of like a point-and-click walking simulator with also some puzzles in it. And one of the puzzles is combining like torn up pieces of paper into shapes to make like alchemical symbols. And I was just sort of illustrating the possibilities that I had access to. Like there was like 5 different pieces of paper. And I had like, okay, well, this one I know goes here. And this one I know goes here. And this third one, like it could go here, or it could go here. Or if I rotated, it could go here. And placing it there solved the puzzle. Like that was it. the other two pieces of paper were irrelevant. And I was like, oh, well, okay. I guess that's it. All right, we gotta draw some lines here. Drawing lines is important. This is bigger than this is bigger than this, which means these are not connected. These aren't connected, so that comes out to here. The inequalities here are very interesting. This needs to get at least one more, because this needs to get at least one more. So it's going to go down to here, because that's the only direction it can go. This needs to get 2 more, actually, because this has to be at least a 4. So that's got to go out to here. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this I'm not concerned about. But this has to be bigger than this also. And this is walled off here. And here. And can't touch this either. So it has to come out here. This needs to grab this then, and is walled off here. So this is actually resolved. This is as big as this zone gets. This is a 7. So this can't go more than 1 more. This is also resolved. So this can get up to 6 here. We could grab 1 more space if necessary. But I have to worry about whether or not this one is bigger than that. And then there's whatever's going on over here. This feels like it kind of connects out to here, and then maybe to here. This is interesting. This kind of feels like it has like a 3, and then a 4 here, and then this could be however big it wants. This has to connect to this. And then takes 1 of these 2. I'm not sure that it matters. It probably does matter, actually. Yeah, this has to be... Okay. We're going to take some notes here. This is 7. So this has to be 5 or 6. So this has to be... This is, we know, 4. So this has to be 6 plus. And this has to be 5 minus. So this has to be 4 minus. Depending on whether or not this is a 5 or 6, this might be 3 minus. Because this is legally, like, a 3 can happen here. But the lowest this can be is a 3. So the lowest this can be is a 4. Oh. And this has to be at least a 4. So this is either a 4 or a 5. And then there's the question of, like, does it take these? Or this? Or this? It probably does this, now that I'm looking at it. Probably. I've got the vibe. But for this to be 4 or less, it needs to grab this triangle and not go through this empty space down here. Like, it can't... I guess it can go 1, 2, 3 and be 4. Or it can be 1, 2, 3, or it can be 1, 2, 3. If this goes like that, though, where does that leave this? Now this has to be 3? This can't be 3. So yeah, it can't go through this space, actually. It has to go through there. I kind of just want to... Like, I think I see the owl, but... This has to grow. So it can't go down and left. It has to go left and down. 2, 3, 4, 5. And it can't go left or right again. It has to go down. So now this has to go like that. And this is 6, exactly. So this has to be 5. So now we are on 5. So this needs to be 4. Which means this needs to be 3. And this could be 4 here. I think this needs to grab this. But if it grabs this, it can't grab that. And this cannot be part of a 3. So if it grabs this, it has to grab this. And that doesn't work. So this has to go here to be 4. So now we have a 7 here, and this needs to be part of an 8. And cannot connect there. So we have that, which means that's there. That's our 3. Which means this comes up here, and that is separate there. 6, 7, 8, sure. And then this can grab that, and that can grab that. Fantastic. Okay. That still didn't unlock the second wave of puzzles, though, so we have more to do here. Huh! It's just a lot, you know? These two can't touch, because this is higher than that, and this is lower than that, or this is higher than that. Well, no, I guess these could be 1s. No, this can't be a 1. This has to be at least a 2. Which means these two can't touch. This has to be at least a 2. In fact, has to be at least a 3. What's up, Chronometrics? How's it going? Which means these two can't touch. And this can't be a 1, so we have a 5 in the middle. So this has to be bigger than a 6. This has to be 6 or bigger. But this has to be 4. So this has to be like that. which means this has to be part of a 7. 3, 4, 5. Can't touch that. 6, 7. This can't touch that. But this does need to be bigger than that. This needs to be smaller than this. This needs to be bigger than this, though. So these two can't touch. So that's separate. Yep. Great. You're buying a new condo. Dang. That sounds like a big step. That's very cool. I am playing puzzle games and having a great time. Let's get some of these ones out of the way, yeah? There's a 10 and a 15, and that is everything. So this is, I guess we'll take some notes here. This is part of the 15. This is part of the 15. This is part of the 10. This is part of the 10. This is the 10 here. This is the 15 here. This is the 15 here. And this is the 10 here. Okay. So this is the information we have to work with. These are the same. So how do we get all of these 10s to touch? How do I feel about you being a backseat driver here? Tell me which levels are clickable. As long as you are not giving me puzzle solutions, you are welcome to do what you want. Especially when it comes to navigation on the overworld, that is easier to ignore. So these are separate. They can't touch. Hello? I just got the achievement for restoring the inequality window. That's a little delayed. Navigator, not a puzzle-logician? Okay. Puzzle-logician sounds like a hell of a job title, though. That sounds like magic. So these need to touch, not necessarily through these spots. This can only escape to the 15 here, because this is a wall of 10s, right? Like this. So this needs to come down through here. Six, 3, so that is exactly 10. Yep, and everything else is 15. Cool. I like this one. That's cute. Inequality. Okay, so this has to be bigger than that. And 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 also this has to be bigger than that. Okay, so if we assume a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess I'll put, like, the pluses, because we don't actually know how big they're going to be. But we do know that they can't touch each other. Can this touch this? Draw a goose. Dude. If I knew how to draw a goose, I would definitely draw a goose. Unfortunately, I am not an artistician. If this touches here, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 36. Goose would tell you just missed. Goose would tell me all kinds of things. I haven't watched enough Top Gun to know exactly what Goose would tell me, but I'm sure there'd be a lot of communication one way or the other. 36. If this touches here at 6 plus, this would need to be 7 plus. 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21, 28. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Sure. But also we have this. I mean, there's not a lot of reason these need to extend past where they have currently gone. I mean, this does, though. Ah, I figured it out. Okay. This does need to extend at least to there. This is a 6, so now this is a 7 plus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cannot touch that. Okay, this has to be exactly 6, which means this has to be exactly 5. And this has to be 7, but it can't touch this. This has to be the 8. Yep. Oh, numbers. 1. All right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7. Okay, okay. So 4 comes out there, 5 comes out there. These can't touch here. So 6 comes out there. These could potentially touch. This is also 3. 3 or lower. So these two could potentially contact each other. Not a lot of room up here, actually. For, like, I don't think there's room up here for 2 6s. Yeah, there's not. So these have to touch each other. Heh, get touched, idiot. This 7 has at most 1 space down here. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This makes me think that the 3s kind of need to be 3s together, because this 3 can't take too much space out of here either. 5, 6, 7. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is now a 6. This is now a 7, so this is a 4. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Whoa! So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 15, 21, 26, 30, 33, 35. Okay, yeah. So this is exactly 1. There is no other way for that to work. So only 1 space in here. And I don't know who it belongs to yet. Correct. I have not learned how to place negative or fractional tiles yet. The game has not introduced that mechanic. Which means that this 4 is exactly this. 5 has at most 3 right now. So 4, 5. 6 has 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, 6. 7 has 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 comes up. 5. And some number of these. And for this to be an 8 now. This is exact, actually. So this needs to be part of the 5. Oh, this needs to be not part of the 5? This needs to be part of the 6. So this needs to be part of the 5. 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 2, and the rest of this is an 8. Some number of these numbers. Yes, correct. All of the tiles are imaginary. We haven't learned to place real ones. That is believable. Look at these little idiots hiding away in the corner. Quit hiding, buddy. Range 2 to 4. Okay. And mismatch. So this is the only 2, for the record. 3, 4. So this has to be exactly 3, 4, and exactly 3, 4. Since there are only 2 3s, 2 shapes that are 3s, these 3s need to connect. And this 3 needs to be a vertical line. Which means it has to go at least to here. So this 2 is like that. And now we get to play tangrams with the rest of the 4s. Like, can this be the Z here? Does it need to be that? I think this actually causes more problems. So this needs to be the Z. This can be the L. This can be the I. This can be also the I? This can be the I. So this needs to be the L. And then this can be the O. Yep, that does work. Fantastic. Oh, who's hiding under here? Who's this little idiot? Get clicked on. Oh, Shape Bank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cool. So this is a 3. And this is a 9. This is a 3. This is a 9. I guess this as a 9 goes out here. And then either 3 and then 4 across, which it can't do. So it must be... This is doing something weird. Either 2, 2, 3. 4 across that way. No. Three. 1, 2. No. Something is weird here. I don't think I understand what's happening here. Oh, because I have it backwards. This is the 9. This is the 3. So the 9 goes out to here. This can't be the 2. This has to be the 3. There we go. This is the 9. This is the 3. So we just make the shape, right? Yeah, we just make the shape each time. So we have this wall, and then we make the shape. This is backwards again. I did it backwards again. No, this is the 3. The 3 is the small part. This is the 3 in here. 3 here? If this is part of the 3, that means the wall needs to be here. That's mildly distressing. Oh, no, the rest of this can be 3s, actually. There we go. Not so simple. Now, yeah, I followed the chain of logic to an incorrect conclusion. I got off at the wrong stop. It's like, you know when you have to go to, like, Augusta Boulevard, but then the train has a stop at West Augusta Boulevard, and you're like, oh, that said Augusta Boulevard. I have to get off the train. That's what happened to me. Boxy! All regions are rectangular. Oh, are they? Okay, so this is a 1, which means this is a... okay. So this could still be 1, 2, 3, 4... Not 5. Oh, maybe 5. No, not 5. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. For this to be a 5, it would have to be a straight line, which it can't. So this has to be a 6. So this can be an 8, and this can be a 9. Right? Like, we could have a 1. And then this could be like a 2. And then this could be like a 3. And then this could be like a 6. And then this could be like an 8. And then this could be like a 4. And then this could be the 9. And then the puzzle is solved? I love it when that happens. Problem since Roman times. Yeah, that sounds accurate. The mismatch. Okay. So this is at least a 2, and this is at least a 3. These can't touch here. And this is at least a 4. This is also at least a 2. Which means this is at least a 4, and this is at least a 5. So now we have 3, 4, 5, maybe. This can't be a 1 on its own. Actually has to be bigger than this, right? So that has to be at least a 4 now. But we can't have them being the same. And this has to be bigger than that. So this has to extend so that this can extend. And then this can be the 4 still. And now these can't touch. All regions must have different shapes. This part is fine. This can grow as long as this grows. Does that work? No. Because this has to be bigger. Yeah, this can't be a 1. Or a 2. Oh, this can go to there. As long as this doesn't... no, it can't. I have misread a symbol. I probably have misread a symbol. Alright. Let's take some notes. This is the 1. So this is a 2 plus, and this is a 3 plus. This is a 2 plus, and this is a 3 plus. Which means this and this connect. So this has to be a 4 plus. This comes out to here, so both of these are 3 pluses now. Which means this is a 4 plus. And this is a 4 plus. And this is a 5 plus. If this comes out to here, this is also a 5 plus. And then if this comes out to here, then this is a 6 plus. This is where I'm at right now. These two can't touch, so one of these is a 4. And because of the way the shapes work out, it's going to be the same shape going all the way down, I think. It's just ZS or zigzag or whatever the 6 equivalent of it is. So one of these needs to be a 4. The other one needs to be a 5. So this needs to be a 6. So this needs to be a 7. And then this can be a 4 and this can be a 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. 6. There we go. And then this can do that, and this can do that. I don't know where I went wrong. I guess I had this as the 5 and this is the 4, which is not working. Much better. Oh, this is cute. Non-boxy. No regions are rectangular, so no 1s. This is the smallest. And no 2s either, because 2s are necessarily boxy. So this is a 3 at low. The lowest this could be is a 3. Which means this is a 4+. And this is a 4+. Except this needs to be bigger than that, which needs to be bigger than that. So this needs to be a 5+. Wait, if this is a 5+, then this needs to be a 6+. Okay. And the smallest region is a 3. And this cannot be the full region here. Like, this can't be the full region either, because that's a box. Interesting. Is this not a box? I guess donuts aren't boxes? That's good to know. But anyway, if this is bigger than that, and this is bigger than this needs to be separate from the 5. Or from whatever's happening here. And then this also needs to be separate, right? And then this can be a 4. This can be a 5. So this could be a 4 and this could be a 5. That's cool. That came together. Pretty happy with that. Shape Bank. Ah, well, with the power of Shape Bank, we know that this is the 2, and this is the 3, and this is the 5. And this is either a 2 or 3, and this is either a 3 or 5. Likewise, 2 or 3, 3 or 5, 3 or 5, 2 or 3, 2 or 3. Alright, so if this is the 2, if this is the 3, it's coming out to here and going either left or right. If this is the 5, it can't go down, so it has to go across here, which means the 3 is going there. And this can't go across to here, because that's a small, so this has to go like that, which means we have a 3 in here, and a 2 here. This can no longer be a 3, because that's not a legal configuration. So this, because we'd have to have like a 1 here. So this has to be a 5, which means this is a 2. This is now either a 2 or a 3. This cannot be part of a 5, so this has to be a 2, and this has to be a 3. This could still be a 2. And this could be a 3, and this could be a 2. And then this could be a 2, and this could be that 3. Yeah. That came together really cleanly. I did it. I unlocked a second wave of puzzles. Let's go. How big are you? 7s! Yo. I actually don't have time for a 7 right now. I have to cut stream around 4:30. But I want to take a look at this anyway. Let's see if it... Alright, let's make some progress on this. And if I have to cut during the puzzle, then I'll cut during the puzzle. But I wanna look at this. I wanna be here. This is where I wanna be. This is there's some stuff going on here. So the lowest this can be is a 2. And the lowest this can be is a 3, and the lowest this could be is a 4. The highest this could be is a 6. So this is 3 to 5, and this is 2 to 4. This is 3 to 6. And this is 2 to 5. This is really awkward to draw these notes. This is interesting. Because this needs to be minimum part of the same region. Since this is bigger than something, it has to be at least a 3. And cannot be part of this region because of the chain, right? This is bigger than this is bigger than this. Cannot be part of that region. Has to be at least a 4 because it's at least 1 higher. And cannot be a 6 because it's lower than something else. In fact, it has to be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, right? This has to be exactly the 5. This has to be the 2. Okay. So this is a 3. This is a 5, 6, right? 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2. Yes. So that means all of this is different because there's no 2s available anymore. So the lowest this could be is a 3. So 3 or 4. This could be a 4 or 5. This could be a 5 or 6. Here's another chain of 3. So this is also 3 or 4. 4 or 5. 5 or 6. So this has to go at least out to here. And then maybe elsewhere. Definitely elsewhere. This is 6 to there. Can't go to there because it has to be a big. Can't go to there because it has to be big. Can go up, can go down, whatever. I mean, this has to be also... This has to be at least a 3 because it can't be a 2. So this has to be there. That's a 6. Mismatch is going to be very irritating. Mismatch is going to be a real problem. This could be a 3. No, it can't be a 3. It has to be at least a 4. Can be a 5. But it has to be at least a 4. And then this is a 3, 4. And this is a 5, 6. That doesn't touch there, but this could be the 3. We have a guaranteed 3 over here. We don't have any guaranteed 3s anywhere else, I don't think. Considering that there are exactly 2 3s on this puzzle. That is a thing we're going to have to pay attention to. This is one of them. Oh, this is the other one. Okay. So the other 3 is here. We know where exactly both of the 3s are. So this can't be a 3. This has to be a 5. This has to be a 6. Because now we know where the 3s are. That can't touch there, because it can't be bigger than the 4. And this can't touch there. Nor can it touch here. So one of these is the short eye, and one of these is the elbow. And that's all of the 3s. So we have exactly 6, 5, 4 here. Likewise here, we have exactly 6, 5, 4. And here we have 6, 5, 4. Which means this 6 goes at least out to there. At least out to there, actually. This 4 goes at least out to there. This 6 now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it can't go out to there because the 4 needs access to it. This 6 has to go out through here, which means the 4 has to go out through there, and the 6 has exactly 6 to access. Yep, that's a 6. So this 3 is the elbow, so this is the eye, which means this has to be part of this 5. Which means that has to connect there. And this 4 has to be that Z. The Z has been consumed. This has to be at least a 4. Might be more. Unclear. For this, it's either long T or lowercase t. And we don't know whether or not any of the others have consumed that. I guess this is also either long T or lowercase t. And that's something to figure out. This is 5 or 6. This is 5 or 6. It could be the same. This shape has been used, though. So between this being a 5, actually, if this is a 5, this has to be a 6 in the center. This has to be a 4. Come on, draw an actual 6, buddy. This has to be at least a 4. Probably is a 5 or a 6. If this is a 5, how much room is left here? 8? That's not okay. 7 minus 1 of the 5? Which is also not okay. 6 if this takes 1 more. So this could be that. And then this could be that. So then we have the same game over here between the 5s and the 6s. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. Cannot just be 5, so it's probably 6. I need to mark every sealed off shape with a number as well, so that I know which shapes have been used. So far, I've used 2 of the 5 4s. This is a 4, this is a 4, this is a 4, this is a 4. There's only 3 4s left. And I see multiple 4s on the board. So these 4s have to join. Which means this cannot be the L. It needs to be at least that. This cannot be the L. It needs to be at least that. And it can't be that, so it needs to be that. This is a 6. This is a 5. And this will be a 6 once I resolve it. So now we have the S and the L, which leaves T, I, and O. No, I is taken. That leaves T and O. This cannot be an O. This has to be an O. So this has to be a T. And the only way for that to be a T is like this. which means this needs to be part of this 6. This 5 needs to come out here, which means this needs to be a 6 here. And now all the 4s are taken, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the 4s are taken. So everywhere else, this has to be 6, 5. This has to be 6, 5. This has to be 6, 5. This has to be 6. So this has to be 5. Which means this has to be this 5 and that 6. Wait. Are these two not the same? These two are not the same. Oh, they're so close, though. So this has to be 5. This has to be 6. This has to be 5. This has to be 6. This has to be 5. All right, if this is a 6, it goes out to at least there. These could all be the same 5. I guess I don't know. This is sealed here, so this 5 has to do that exactly. This cannot do that. It cannot do that. So it must do that. 1, 2, 3. And something else here. This 6, 1, 2, 3 cannot touch these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This 5 comes out. Now this needs to be part of a separate 5, so it needs to be part of that 5. This is 6 here exactly, so that's 5 here exactly. Yo, this is actually coming together. Has long Z been used? Show me a long Z. Zigzag, O with a dot, long T, lowercase t, bucket. Long Z is here. So this has to be a 6. Has J? Long bucket? Been used for 6s? God, I don't know what shapes exist for 6s. Get out of here. Doesn't look like it. So this is potentially real. But it's not guaranteed. What 5s still exist? I think there were 11, 13 5s last time I counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. We have used waves. We have used that one. There are 12 5s. I was close. I averaged correctly. We've used that one. We've used bucket. We've used long Z. We've used long T. We've used lowercase t. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think I will need to use all the 5s, and I will definitely not need to use all of the 6s. But at this point, what 5s are left? There are 4 lights. What's up, Pajamagram? Plus is impossible. Plus is... Oh, yeah. Okay, so plus exists. But yeah, plus would be difficult. Plus would be extremely difficult. But... F exists. Plus exists. Not that I'll get to use it. Tall Z exists, which is different from long Z. for the record. Long eye exists. Could happen here. No. Maybe. Elbow exists. Big elbow. 9, 10, 11? There's one more shape. What is the one more shape? I really need a cheat sheet for this. Long J. Which has been used, right? No, long J hasn't been used either. Plus is unlikely. Things that get all of these in this location is interesting. This could be an F, though. I think. No. This could be... I don't think there is a shape that actually takes all of these. I think we're going to need to do something like this. I mean, something like that. That's not exactly correct. Yeah, it's a little hard to be deterministic about what I have left at this point. How much space is left here? Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 40. 40 across some number of 6s and 5s. Well, it's not 8 5s. If we take 2 6s, that makes 28. No, if we take 3 6s, that makes 22. No, if we take 4 6s, it's got to be 5 6s and 2 5s. Yeah, this has to be 5 6s and 2 5s. These 2 5s can't connect because we've used the one that does it, which would be long Z. So these 2 5s have to connect, and then this has to connect with the rest of them. Actually, this might have been just right. This might have just been correct. Use that. This can be what? F, not tall Z, not I, not elbow, exactly F. So either that or that. Two, 3, 4, 5. Could be 6. 6. Ah, so this needs to be that, so that this can be that. And now we have a 6 here, like this. Nope. Like this. And that. Nope. Maybe... this takes... We've already used T for the 5, so it can't get there. That doesn't work. That's legal and that's legal. So, but that's not legal. Um... Could this be something else here? Maybe this 5 was incorrect? And I was supposed to let this be tall Z? Maybe I'm supposed to let this be tall Z. Because this doesn't seem like it's working. And this can be... Can't be that. Can't be that. Has to be that. 2, 3, 4, 5. Could be that. But then that's not the same. Like, that still has to happen. Unless this goes... Yeah, this just has to happen. There's no way for these to connect. There's no way for this to pick up that 5. This 5 has to connect to these 5s somehow. Which means this 6 has to come across like that. Yeah, okay. So this part, this one I'm sure of. The rest I'm not so sure of. Excuse me? Have I not used this shape? I've definitely used this shape. Okay. And this is the same place I was in before. But this needs to connect up to here. Does this work? Three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's rewind all of this now. And I am confident that this is correct, which means this is where that needs to be. And this 6 is restricted to exactly this shape? And this has to be like that? And this has to be like that? There we go. These two 6s needed to be connected. I was right the whole time. I was just mismanaging what I was doing down here. Yeah! Clear all them numbers? Look at that pretty boy. What a beautiful puzzle. All right, and with that, I am over my my time limit. I need to get going. So thank you all for coming, but that is going to be the end of the stream here. What style of T is that 6 shape? This is a doohickey. It's not a T. My official nomenclature grows. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me for tonight.